Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about one of the hypest offlaners of the current patch, and it's Centaur Warrunner. Basically, Centaur Warrunner right now is being picked in the EU region. This was brought to my attention very recently, and I've played Centaur also myself a couple times, and what I will say about this hero is I personally think it's one of the best laners in the game. However, I think it's a little bit hard to play mid-game as its damage is a bit unreliable. However, if you manage to pick it in the right games, I believe as a hero that can just be a strong initiator for your team, enable a lot of greedy mid laners, it's one of the best heroes in the game. And also another thing I like about it is I think a lot of the melee position 4s right now are just kind of meh. Like, Tiny has been nerfed a ton. It's still a good hero, but it's been nerfed a ton. Tusk is okay, but it's primarily played as a mid laner. Clock is alright. I mean, they're not bad by any means, but I'm a big fan of a lot of the current position 4s. And Team Spirit is as well. They're a huge team when it comes to kind of weird position 4s and weird position 5s.
And now I want to tell you guys a little bit about DotaPlus from Overwolf. This is a free stats app you guys can download right now that's going to show you your stats for the last 3 months. So if you want to know your games played, your MMR, your win rate, your XPM, your GPM, all of these things you need to track to know how well you're doing and what you need to change to gain MMR, you can get for absolutely free. On top of that, the biggest reason why you need to download DotaPlus, at least for me, is the ban suggestions. Basically, it tells you what the enemy team is good at. It tells you their best heroes, what they've been winning with. You just ban it. You might be wondering why your good heroes, why your best heroes keep getting banned. It's because of DotaPlus. The enemy team is using it and banning out your best heroes. So go download DotaPlus right now, and I'll see you guys there.
We even see their opener here. Pretty crazy, right? We see a Razor lead and then a tiny Centaur. Two heroes that want to kite out the Razor, playing around a lot of repositioning tools, right? You have the Stampede and you have the Toss. So a clear idea from Team Spirit. Maybe they just think Tiny is a good hero as well. But yeah, the tiny Centaur. Also kind of a classic lane. You just toss people on the Centaur. That's about it. It's pretty good though. It's pretty good. But yeah, we see the first pick Razor come out. Now I'm not going to really go too much through the rest of the draft. This Entity being the psychopaths that they are. Go for Razor Batrider. I mean, who does this shit? Honestly, who picks Batrider? I mean, is this hero even good against Centaur? Doesn't it like Stampede away? I guess you can't Stampede away from Lasso, to be fair, but you can Stampede to chase the Lasso. Alright, nonetheless, I just wanted to show you that this hero is being picked with very little information. I mean, it was literally picked into just Razor. That's it. That's all they saw. And so, Team Spirit thinks it's good. They want a TI. It must be pretty good. And let's get into it. So one thing I will say about Centaur is I think the hero should be looked at as a utility hero. I would certainly not pick Centaur if my team is filled with a bunch of initiation heroes or some like trash bounty hunter. Because if that's the case, you're not going to kill anyone. Just for a bit of perspective, look at his draft, right? Their two cores are Morphling and Lesh. These heroes pump damage. Even, this Shadow Demon hero pumps damage. Tiny, I wouldn't say it's like insane in terms of damage. This is more of the control, right? You kind of have 3 heroes that do damage, and then you have 2 heroes that provide control. It's a well-rounded draft from the side of Team Spirit, and let's get into the Centaur. Now, in terms of the starting item build, nowadays, you have to go for 2 rings of protection. The reason why you do this, and the reason why he has done this multiple games that I've watched now, is because your hero starts with a ton, and I mean a ton of regen. 7.9 regen with only 2 mangoes, right? Which means your starting HP regen is actually, what is that, 6.7? Insane, right? Keep in mind something like Slark, who's actually under tower right now, so his base regen is 4. Centaur's is way higher than that, at 6.7, way higher, right? So this hero sustains like crazy, but with no armor, I mean, you're really not that tanky, so you have to buy armor. It's a very straightforward concept, but something to keep in mind. You don't really need quelling too much on this hero either, because basically, as he'll go for the stun onto the disruptor, this is certainly a kill. That's a lot of damage. But yeah, essentially what you need to keep in mind is that your hero needs the armor, and you don't need a quelling because you have really good animation and a really good set of base damage, y'all. Alright, so in terms of the lane, you're against a Slark here. What do? Alright, a bit of a weird lane. The Slark is definitely tough, but basically, you can go for your Q, and this is almost always what you're going to take. You can use it to secure a creep, even melee creeps, and punish the enemy. He's going to stun, tries to hit the Slark once, actually messed up there. Basically, you want to stun, hit once, and then run away. If the lane is easy, you can stun, hit 2 or 3 times, but this is a hard lane. You don't want to trade with the Slark too much unless he runs in between 2 heroes, then you can hit him. That was kind of suspect from the Slark there as they get 2 denies. Oh, beautiful stuff from Collapse, abusing his high damage as he's going to go for the range, doesn't get it. From there, your first item is actually going to be Tangos, as he's going to go for the stun once again on Slark, just trying to put pressure. This is obviously why you pick up the mangoes. Your hero's mana pool is completely pathetic. and so after 3 stuns, you're going to be entirely out of mana, but don't be too afraid of using them. Often you're going to buy Stick. I don't know if he does it in this lane. It's not too good against Slark, so it's good against Disruptor, but really bad against Slark. So we'll see what he ends up doing. Either way though, he's got the mangoes, could buy a Stick, and that's how you're going to deal with your mana problems. So one thing I will say about this lane in particular is that, or in general, is that he never, and I basically mean never takes Retaliate. I mean, from what I've seen, maybe you can take it against like Sniper and Drow, right? Because it's very hard to use a double edge against those heroes, and the level 2 Retaliate is really, really good against those heroes. However, basically every game I've watched, I've seen double edge. And now what's insane about double edge is Centaur will basically damage himself with the double edge, but also the enemy. So the idea is very simple. You buy a bunch of sustain items. His first item he buys this lane is Ring of Health. I thought he was going to go Boots because he's against Slark. Like, you kind of get chased down, but I guess not. Yeah, essentially you just buy a ton of sustain and then you have a 4-second cooldown nuke, right? If you out-sustain them, you just kick them out of the lane because it's 120 damage and then 60% of your strength. And 60% of his strength right now is like 17 or 18 extra damage, right? Which is really nice. This nuke is going to do like 140-ish, right? Which is crazy at level 1 on a 4-second cooldown. You just have, it does damage to yourself, right? So you have to be able to sustain it. Now, typically these double melee lanes have no kill potential, but honestly, Tiny with Tree Grab is pretty good in lane. And then, yeah, you can just go for the Stomp combo. As a nice play from Tiny, using the Tree Grab perfectly there, throwing the last charge, and securing the kill. But what's really fascinating is he takes the second point in double edge, right? So bringing the ability up to a 180 damage nuke with 80% of his strength, right? So it's getting to the point where this nuke is doing like 210 damage at it. And they pick up the kill on the Slark, and that's what I'm talking about. I've seen this time and time again, and I believe this is why teams are picking this Centaur. How they see it is, okay, we have this hero that even against his traditional counters, now the last game he played it, he was against Monkey King, and they killed the Monkey King. They killed the Monkey King, and now he's landing against Slark, and they kill the Slark. Avalanche into the stomp, into the double edge, just explodes the Slark. This guy wasn't even low on health, right? He had a 10 stick, he's half HP, but he doesn't get it off because he gets chain stun. This lane obviously is very, very good at stunning, and he just dies from half health. Crazy lane for that, right? The burst damage potential on this hero is insane. And Tiny is not one of the best heroes, right? I'm not going to say it's bad. I think this lane is pretty good. Compared to something like Shadow Demon Centaur, I think is very, very good. I think Hoodwink Centaur is extremely good. There's a lot of lanes that even do more damage than the lane we're looking at here, and it's very powerful. All right, this is pretty funny, guys. Look at this, look at this. So they're going on Disruptor. Disruptor glimpses the Centaur, and then he tosses him to Centaur on the end of the glimpse. I don't know if this is intentional, but this is crazy. And then because of the fact that he didn't land yet, the Disruptor ends at the Centaur. I know it's bugged right now, so you can't see it, but like, they actually get the kill because of this. What the hell? That's crazy. Yeah, from there with your Ring of Health, if the lane is easy, you just spam double edge on the carry off cooldown. Unfortunately, he's laning with Slark, which is definitely an unfavorable matchup. However, his net worth is chilling. I mean, they're owning. He's 300 gold up, which is crazy, right? Because Disruptor and Slark is a very good lane combo typically against strength heroes. Very, very powerful, but that is not the case at all. And now with 12 regen, he can kind of nuke out the Slark. You can see he's trying a little bit here, unfortunately. It's not that effective because he's out of mana for the stun, so he really can't do too much. Even buys a Clarity here to try to sort of deal with that. But yeah, it's definitely a matchup he has to now be passive in. And unfortunately, this is how these hard matchups go. You can still beat these heroes because Centaur at level 1 and level 2, and even level 3, is like a nutty hero. The pressure he puts on is crazy. But unfortunately, it doesn't scale too well because Hoof Stomp is nuts at level 1. Just for some perspective, this ability does 120 damage at level 1. 120! You have 220, well, this does more, but you have 220 damage nukes, and it's a 2-second flat stun at level 1. Most abilities do not stun for that long at level 1. Like, Sven stun is like 1.4 or 1.2. Hoof Stomp's just 2, and it's an 18-second cooldown. It's not that long, right? It's insane. This hero at level 1, level 2 is nutty. But it does fall off a little bit, right? The nukes become less effective over time, typically as there's more gold, more sustained sticks, raindrops, etc., etc. So essentially, yeah, you need to win the lane early on. You want to put pressure. You want to go for the hoof stomp. Synergize with your position 4. Please, if you're going to pick this hero, please work with your position 4. Please go on the same target, right? And if the lane is easy, you're laning against something like PA, you can buy a Ring of Health and a stick and just double edge spam them off cooldown. And I mean, look at this gameplay here, right? They're going to end up getting a kill. He's got his Hooded Defiance now, which is nice because it reduces the amount of damage you take from double edge. So you can see he's going out on the Slark. I mean, this is just wild. They go for the Disrupt, unfortunately mess up the combo there. But he's just confident to bully the Slark. He actually did take a point and retaliate, by the way. But they drop the combo and they pick up the kill. I mean, Just wild stuff, right? Wild stuff. We're just seeing a centaur run at a Slark. And now with the 18.3 regen, he can even, drag the small camp. Drag the weight to the small camp, farm that up with the double edge. He did take a point and retaliate, which makes me think he's going to max that out next. I can't imagine you take... Oh no, it was really just a value point, huh? It really is just a value point. From there, he's going to go for phase boots. You can see his mindset. He's not just playing to be a blink initiator. He's playing to be pretty tanky, and he's actually also playing to control the top side of the map here. As I said, they pick up the kill on the Slark. They're going to take out the flag bearers. The point of retaliate actually looks pretty good. And to be fair, the strength gain, the strength return damage scales very poorly. So maybe it is actually a good value point because of the strength return damage, basically making retaliate do a certain number of damage based on how much strength you have. So it's very powerful, I guess, maybe as a value point, and that's something I'm taking out of Collapse's gameplay here. And yeah, we'll see him flash farm for a bit. So of course, when you have Blink Dagger, your hero's not some great roamer. It definitely struggles to kill people. Yes, you can stampede on people, but it's a pretty long cooldown at 100 seconds flat, so it's not something you can use too casually, or no primal beast when it comes to roaming. And so yeah, it's a hero that, if given the opportunity, wants to generally take its 30% of the map for about 13 to 14 minutes, trying to farm up a Hood of Defiance plus Blink Dagger. Some games he actually does go phase into Blink, but you really don't want to have to do that because you're very squishy when you go in, as they're going to go for the Stampede. Can they get the kill? Yeah, they do. I guess that was a Morphling turning into Disruptor and getting the glimpse. But they get the kill. He's going to look to go mid here as he gets glimpsed. And as he gets glimpsed, he's like, all right, I'll just go back to top and farm up my Blink. And so yeah, the gameplay early on, very, very straightforward. Take your portion of the map. If someone walks up too far and you have a support nearby, you can kill them. And then, yeah, he gets his Blink here. Very, very good timing. We'll see him get his Blink Dagger. At this point, I would generally think he's going to smoke with the Lesh. He doesn't have a great kill combo this game. Typically, you'd want to play this hero with like a Hoodwing or a Skywrath, even something like any sort of Blink initiator. I guess a Tiny could be okay. He's not even close to Blink, but you get the point. As we see him looking around the map here, I don't think he's going to TP on this. That guy's oh no, he's going to TP now, yeah. Once Entity responds with a ton of heroes, he's like, yep, time to go. Might pump the Stampede here. Yeah, try to get his team out, allow the Lesh to chase down the Razor. Lesh seems so good with Centaur, actually, because this Lesh hero gets very much kited on his Bloodstone, right? You see him click Bloodstone, you run away. With Stampede, that's not an option. And also, you sidestep the Split Earth. When you get Hoof Stomped, that's not an option either. So I really like this combo. This seems like a great combination of hero, because you have the Lesh to follow up the Centaur stomp, and then you have the damage from Lesh that Centaur often lacks as the game progresses, right? As the game goes along, Centaur tends to do very limited damage, and so the Lesh just works really perfectly with the Centaur here, and I love this combo, actually. As we'll see him get active around the river here, it does get gone on, pretty tanky. He's got his maxed out nukes, got the Hood pop stat, has 20 wands as well. Still very important to keep these rings for protection, try not to swap them out. Your hero does not gain armor with levels, you have like limited agi gain, so please try to keep the rings of protection if you can. As we'll see them go for a toss back onto the onto the Razor. He'll follow it up, drop the nuke eventually, and pick up the kill. Very, very easy gameplay. And you can see Centaur is not some dominating hero at this point in the game. There's no flashy play to make outside of hitting a 3, 4, 5-man stun, right? But in general, you're just going to be stunning the closest person, close to your team, and allowing them to follow up. Being a good Centaur at this point in the game is typically just understanding who's the follow-up damage and making sure when you stun someone that there is follow-up damage. Otherwise, you're probably going to have to Stampede defensively to save yourself, and that is garbage. We will actually see him go top here as he goes for the Stampede stun. Did they catch? Oh, he caught. He's stuck in the tree line, but I think they'll get the kill anyway as he can toss onto the Centaur for the double edge damage. They're holding it just to make sure he can't TP. The Shadow Demon ulti is going to get the job done, and they get the pickoff. Yeah, you can use Stampede for pickoffs like that, right? If you have to catch someone who's running away or split pushing, it's definitely a good idea. As I said, it's not a short cooldown, so it's not good for like ganking early game necessarily, but as we get towards the mid game and the respawn timers go up, it's definitely something to take. Also keep in mind at level 10 he took his talent, which he took 20 movement speed. Just allows you to get around the map quicker and kite in and out of team fights. From there, often the main place you're going to play is actually the mid lane. Yes, you can play, like if no one's playing the side lane, you can, because you can use double edge and retaliate to like kill creep camps quite quickly, and you can buy the aura item for your team, which most games is going to be pipe. It's just like good with double edge because it keeps you alive, makes you tanky, and gives like the best aura item to your team. The only other aura items that I think compete with pipe right now are mech and drums. 2 items I don't really think you want to buy on Centaur. Definitely not mech. You cannot sustain that mana cost. Maybe drums would be like okay, but I don't know. You build Hood of Defiance anyway in the early game for that survivability and the ability to use double edge on creeps, because as you see, it doesn't do too much damage to yourself, and that's really nice. And so yeah, he'll clear up the mid wave, and the reason why is you don't want to take too much farm priority. You don't pick Centaur to be the highest net worth core. Now, he's 4-0-7, so he's the highest net worth core, but you can see it's not a hero you want to take all the space on. If he didn't have the God game, like, trust me, this is like the God game, right? He won his lane against Slark, and then he got to like take his area from minute like, you know, 8 to minute 12, 30, 13. He kind of got to take that area and got to get a CS up. This does not have to be the case every game. You certainly do not need to be even close to your teammates on CS, especially if the game is hard. Typically, you should be shoving mid wave, right? And then looking to make smokes from mid to the side lanes, right? Or try to jump mid, depending on, you know, what information you have. And in terms of this fight here, we're going to see the power of the early pipe. It's just such a good item in the early game, guys, especially against a team comp like entities. The Slark is doing minimal physical damage at this point in the game. I mean, let's keep it real. It's 18 minutes in. Yes, the Slark is not poor, but he's not owning, and so it's basically all magic. The pipe is just, it's fantastic, as they're going to go onto the Morphling, but he does get the pipe off onto the Morph, the Disruption, and the pipe save the Morphling pretty easily, as he's going to be able to chase down Fishman here on the Disruptor, pick up the kill. He could look for the Stampede, doesn't need it here, makes the discipline play to not actually use it, as he identifies, okay, I don't need it, and they pick up another kill. Now, the power of the Centaur is really going to show off in this fight, just with his raw survivability. Also, I love the Dragon skill. Your hero has really big armor problems, so this is a great item to get. It's a little bit of extra damage, too. It's nice. But they jump onto the mid lane here. He gets smoke screen, unfortunately, but he's going to pop his pipe, gets the stun onto the Ricky, going to try to burst him with the double edge, takes him out. Has to pop the pipe here, keeps... Look at his Shadow Demon, right? Keep in mind, look at this Shadow Demon. Look at how long this Shadow Demon lives for, right? I mean, this is a damn Shadow Demon. And this guy is eating Disruptor plus Batrider. He gets lassoed. He lassoed him. He's like, oh my god, this Shadow Demon's not dying. This pipe item just gives you, what, 450 health? It's incredible. Right, this Shadow Demon has like, what, 1200 health? It's a third of his health. And keep in mind, you're also giving passive magic resist, right, with the passive, right? 15% and magic resist and 2.5 HP regen. I mean, it's crazy what this item gives you in the early game if you can get it early on. I mean, it's straight up nuts. As they try to take down the Lesh, that doesn't work, so they have to TP out. They hit a 2-man stun on the Tiny, followed up by the 2-man stun on to the Disruptor and the Ricky, and they just wipe them. And the next thing I'd like to mention, even though he is owning, he doesn't buy Heart of Tarask, which is a 5k gold item that is not good early on, because he'll just get ignored. He buys a Force Staff, because he understands he's snowballing. He doesn't need to 1v9 the game, he doesn't need to stay alive. He needs to initiate and then initiate again. And the way you can do that, effectively, early game, without feeding, is not to buy a Vitality Booster to get a 28-minute Heart, it's to get a 22-minute Force Staff and be able to initiate and then reinitiate afterwards. Why? Because you can blink in and then Force Staff out. Please, consider this build. Okay, yes, there's games for Heart. I'm not saying it's never the right build. Maybe if the game is really, really passive, you can go for more of a scaling build. But if the game is high tempo and you're fighting a lot, do not queue up a 5k gold item that has bad build-up. Okay, it's not bad. It's mediocre build-up. Instead, buy the Force Staff. Makes you a little bit tankier, and as I said, allows you to go in and get out. It's also very good against Ricky and Razor. It's a good game for Force Staff. I think you would have bought it regardless of matchups, but particularly good against the Smoke Screen and the Link as well. They'll have some patience here on the high ground. They're not going to overcommit. They're just going to look to build up their lead, just really close out this game in a clean way. Maybe even play... Oh, I was going to say for the next stages, but they have it right now, so he could look to jump the mid lane. They consider it, doesn't want to overextend. Morphling not in position here, so good discipline from Collapse not to overextend. As maybe they'll go for a smoke here after shoving the mid lane, that's definitely an option. No, they're going to invade the triangle instead, looking to push up towards this bottom tier 2 tower. As they disrupt onto the mid lane, do you really want to jump this deep? The answer for the Tiny is yes. Centaur gets hit by the flame break here, but popping the pipe prevents the tick damage from actually canceling your blink dagger, so that's an option. He also Force Staffed his Tiny there to get him out, so that's obviously a practical use too. You don't have to use Stampede just to save one person. You can instead Force Staff them, and you're very tanky, so you won't die afterwards trying to save them. That's definitely effective as well. As we see the Razor show, they go for their setup stun, kind of stack their stuns there. Is it enough? Nice use of the shard from the Slark. Oh, the Razor should have stayed in it. Oh no, Razor's choking. Is he gonna die because of it? He tries to run away from the Lesh. I guess Lesh would have killed him anyway. But yeah, then he goes for the Stampede, trying to help the Shadow Demon kite out. Pops the pipe. The Slark just does not do enough damage at this point of the game. Even with the smoke screen being so annoying for Morph, it just doesn't seem to matter. He also has Aegis on Morph. And to end off this replay analysis, we're gonna see a very straightforward go from Collapse. He a little bit over blinks here on the Disruptor, but either way, who knows why Disruptor's here? I don't. But they pick up the kill on the Disruptor. From there, he's gonna pop his pipe. Right, just drops the aura. It's a little bit awkward to do anything in this case, right, because you don't really have your stun, and often you actually want to kite out to make sure your blink can't get cancelled, so you can get a clean blink initiation without it constantly getting reset to the 3-second cooldown. Here, though, he kind of makes a different decision. He's sort of walking around the middle of the fight, for better or for worse. Honestly, you could argue that this is bad decision making, but Tiny makes a great play to toss the Razor onto the Centaur, and that allows him to get the stun off, so I guess that's one way to do it, as they pick up the kill onto the Razor, chase onto the Disruptor. I think that's a dieback if they get him. Do you Stampede for it? Oh, no, they messed up. Oh, they didn't get him. That should have been a dieback. But alright, either way, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely think this hero has a lot of potential. It's not a hero you're going to 1v9 with. Please don't try to do that. I've seen these hard builds. You just get kited. Just buy early game items to enable your team, please. I really believe that's the way this hero should be played. I think the other builds can work if the enemy team is stupid and tries to target you when you have Pipe, Heart, Sange. Like, okay, sure. If they suck and they go on you, fine. But if they're good and they ignore you, you might be like, oh, but speed. Stampede does damage based on my strength. So if I buy a heart and I click Stampede and I run into them, then it will do 2.5 times my strength. And I'll do like 350 damage. Whoa, 350 damage? Are you serious? You can do 350 damage by running into someone? Wow, that's so crazy. That's definitely worth 5k gold for you to get ignored completely. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.